Okay, BC Calculus, polar. If you recall from pre-cal, polar is a completely different way of graphing things. It's not in x and y anymore, it's in r, comma, theta, where r is the radius and theta is the angle. So let's plot a few points. We're going to plot 2 pi over 3. Well, what we would need to do is go to pi over 3, which is somewhere in here. This would be pi over 4, pi over 6, pi over 3 is somewhere up here. So on this pi over 3, you would go onto the pi over 3 angle, and the 2 is your radius. Pi over 3 is your angle, 2 is your radius. So you just go 1, 2, and there would be your point. 3 pi over 4 is in my second quadrant. This would be 1 pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4. But it's negative 1. Well, if it was a positive 1, it would be here. It's negative 1, I follow the same line, and I go negative 1 in the opposite direction. 3, negative 45, so I would get a negative 45 degrees, which is, these little things are hard to tell. It's halfway. Is that halfway? Yeah. And then it's 3. 1, 2, 3, because recall negative angles are clockwise. Positive angles are counterclockwise. And then it says finding all coordinates of a point. This is not something we really need to do, but just to be thorough, let's go ahead and do it anyway. 3 pi over 3 and find all polar coordinates for P. Where would that be? Well, pi over 3, let's see, here's pi over 4, pi over 6, pi over 3, and it's 3, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's here. And I want to find all polar coordinates for P. Well, could I go all the way around my circle and come back to there? Well, that would be 3 comma pi over 3 plus 2 pi, which would give me 7 pi over 3. Alright, well, what if I said you extend this out here, negative 3, 1, 2, 3. This particular angle is, this would be 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3. This is 4 pi over 3. If I did a negative 3 comma 4 pi over 3, would that be in the same place? Well, if I go to 4 pi over 3, and instead of going 1, 2, 3, I go 1, 2, 3, that'll get me to the same spot. So to find all angles, you just say 3 pi over 3, and I'm just going to follow my formula, plus 2 pi k, or negative 3 pi over 3 plus 2k plus 1 pi, because what that gives me is an odd number. 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3. 2 times 2 plus 1 is 5. That gives me my odd multiples of pi, because that takes me halfway around, and that gives me my negative. Alright, make sure you continue on. Don't stop yet. Watch examples 3, 4 until I tell you to stop.